Yada, yada, yada. Here we go. Hola, bien. Y bienvenidos, bienvenidos. Feliz martes. Happy Tuesday. Feliz martes. We're going to start class with a reminder because this is sort of an odd situation. A number of people have asked, wow, I want to keep going and doing some more Spanish classes, but I'm not sure how to do it. And sadly, because Scottsdale splits fall into two separate sessions, we're in a donut hill, if you will. And ideally, I would like to run all of fall. And if I did that, it would be my perfect length of time for this beginner course. So I'm going to share with you how the two classes that Scottsdale has look so that you know, because this is one of those things where their online system especially runs on these numbers. And boy, it's like even when I talk with the office about somebody who has a question, they'll say course number, blah, blah, blah. And I don't know about you, but I don't memorize five-digit numbers. Okay. Okay, we have today's class, we have next week's class. After that, fall number one session ends. So here's the situation, and it's odd. So discúlpenme, forgive me, but this is the way it runs. Beginner Spanish, which is what this class right now is called, is intended to be for people who know absolutely nothing. Now, currently we have one person signed up for it. You have to have 8 for the class to run. Uh, if everybody from this class signed up, we would make that minimum. Okay. So here's the number. It's 43469. It's still going to run on Tuesdays, still the same time. It goes through to December. Here's the caveat. Because that is listed as, we assume you know nothing, I've got, well, yeah, because of the way it's described, people read that direction, think, oh, I can know absolutely nothing and sign on. That's what you guys did. And muchas gracias. Thank you very much. However, if there is one person that signs up for that, I have no control who signs up, right? Nobody like asks me for an approval. So if somebody from outside this class who knows absolutely nothing signs up, you see the conundrum I'm in already. Yeah. I got like some people who know something and some people who know absolutely nothing. Now, can I work around that? Wow, I've got to get really creative. I cannot work around that super well. So if everybody who signed up was from this group, we'd be like, A-okay, just keep going. If I get even one person signing up from outside the group as a true beginner, you see how this is. Now, I don't quite know how I do that. How do I start somebody who knows nothing and then have you guys? So I don't really know what to tell you. It's a crapshoot. If the only names on there are the people as a continuation from this course, then it's, blue skies, clear sailing, a-okay, full speed ahead. But my brain is a little bit scrambled eggs over the situation if somebody signs up who is from outside that course. That is not the case right now. So that's all I can tell you about that. It's a weird situation. However, there is another class. It is on Mondays instead of on Tuesdays. It is on Mondays. Starts at the same time, 9:30 in the morning. It still runs till 11. It is called Spanish Step 1. There is the number. I will send you these numbers so you don't have to scribble anything down. I will send these in the email. This runs Mondays. It is for people who only know a little bit of Spanish, but I will tell you as a caveat, as a warning, that there are people at very different levels. Some who are pretty kind of chugging along pretty well. Some people who really struggle to put together a sentence. So it's a class of many different levels. It would, for you guys, I have to say right now, that would be a bit of a stretch, quite honestly, a little bit of a stretch. a little tough. Probably the first 3 weeks, you would feel a little bit like, oh boy, this is a little bit difficult. But is it manageable for me to do activities with people of those different levels? Yes, it is. Yes. Okay. So that's the second alternative. I know they do have some other Spanish courses from other instructors. What those instructors do, I can't really tell you because I don't know them, nor do we coordinate. So, just so you know, I will put that information there, however, about my classes, and you can look at the other ones that they're offering. That's fine. The other alternative, because probably to get everybody in this course to the point where they feel super comfortable in this Monday class that I run, it would probably take about 5 more lessons, 6 more lessons to feel like you could comfortably jump into that Monday class and say, I can do this. Okay. It takes a little more experience with constructing a general sentence with verbs. That's which we're going to start today. Um, so I want to be totally honest with you about how those classes are set up. Uh, a third alternative, but I'm not going to put it on the screen, is that there are people who book private sessions with me, and that, would be according to what I have open and you have open time-wise and that kind of thing. So uh, just so you're kind of aware of that situation. But those are the two classes that I have. I will send you those course numbers because that's uh, the important thing when you go online. So if you want to keep on going, I certainly welcome that. But I want you to know, people always know, well, what do I sign up for? So yeah, we'll see. If we had only people from this course in that Tuesday course, it would be totally clear sailing. Okay, vale. Any questions you've got on that?
So
The
what I think
option
I'm
now? Sorry.
Oh,
Oh, you first.
I'm sorry. Andrew first?
what I think I'm hearing you say is go ahead and sign up for beginning Spanish starting this, November 5th. And if there's enough people to run it,
Yeah,
it'll
and
go.
and and oh yes, and it starts November 5th. Yeah. I I think it'll be doable. If we don't get a sufficient number of people in 1 week's time and they cancel it out, they would refund your money anyway.
Okay.
So, yeah, it's not like, oh, I sign up and now, oh no, if they don't offer the course, if we don't have a minimum, they don't
And
offer
then
the
after
course.
this part two, then step one would be a very good option
Step
later.
one would, right, right. Step one would be a super comfortable option at that point. But
Okay.
yeah, it's just an odd thing. For some reason, Scottsdale just cannot get it together to group the two fall courses into one for this particular type of class. And this is the only class that's affected that way. So,
Hmm.
anyway.
Okay.
Okay. Bien. All right. There's my little rant. So what are we going to do today? ¿Qué vamos a hacer? What are we going to do? We're going to do actually quite a lot today. It'll be split up between a number of topics, and the one at the end is actually kind of crucial, but it'll only be a super little intro nugget. We're going to do a little more with numbers, un poquito más, a little more. We're going to talk about this odd concept of how the family of words that group together, which is nouns and all the words that talk about nouns, uh, how they all have to be in what they call agreement. And all that means is they have to look at the noun they're talking about, and all the words that talk about that noun will have to be in the masculine or feminine form and the singular or plural form. That is called agreement in grammar talk. Okay. Uh, Third thing, we're going to have, pardon, uh, quick introduction to ir. Ir is a super great survival verb because ir means to go. And just like we showed you the forms of ser, soy, eres, es, somos, son, and estoy, estás, está, estamos, están for estar. This third verb, ir, to go, the verb that means to go, is something we use as tourists all the time. Because you tell people, I want to go to the museum, I want to go to the bus stop, and stuff like that. So we need that verb ir and all of its forms. So we'll introduce how that verb works. It is an irregular, but we'll show it to you. It's not hard to learn. And then we're going to, right at the end, introduce what it means to use a regular verb. And we're going to use a lot of our class next week to talk about what verbs are about, how regular verbs work, what patterns can you learn that will help you to use regular verbs. And regular verbs are verbs like walk, cook, read, eat. Yeah, stuff like that. Things that you want to use to put together a sentence. Bien. Okay, vale? So that's where we're going today. I want to show some features on the website real quickly, like 30-second look at this. I will resend the link in today's email to, I'm trying to figure a good place to move my bar here, to this number practice site. It is a super great site, but I did want to point out a couple of things that you may not have noticed. This is for practicing numbers. It gives you short dictados. That means dictations. So it'll say a number and have you type the digit to quiz. Can you hear a number and understand what that number was? Okay. But you do have to tell it what language. So these little drop-down menus are important. I just want to show you drop-down menus. You want to definitely tell it not English, but Spanish for the target language. Uh, Game length, you can tell it any of those number of minutes, and I would say, 5 minutes is probably a good one to start with, but I've just got it set at one. Leave it on plain because you don't want telephone numbers. You don't want prices because it's not even available yet. Just plain numbers is good. Now, number range, two things you might not have noticed. Number range, if you're quizzing yourself, don't go way down here or up here, right? You want to keep it at the hundreds, 1 to 100 level, or if you feel really adventurous, the 1 to 1,000 level. Okay, so you can tell it what range of numbers to give you in those dictations. And my suggestion for you guys is not to set the reading speed, or really it should say speaking speed, because that's what it is. It's speaking to you. Do not set it at medium, set it at slow. Set it at slow. And if you really get freaked out by that, hey, set it at very slow. Okay. But don't set it at medium because medium will feel fast to you. I am just telling you now. And you can totally say, Marilyn, you're full of it. Medium is fine. But I think at the stage you guys are at, realistically, slow is better. So here's how it sounds if you do it at slow. And you can tell it replay. And then you type your number like that. Yeah. See? Bien? Okay. And then you hit guess and it'll move you on to another number. So it'll just give you an endless loop of numbers. But that is how the slow speed sounds, which I think is the more comfortable speed for you guys at your level. Okay, name. In real life, of course, when you're at a marketplace or at a restaurant or a store, people will naturally go faster because that's what they do. And you can always tell people despacio, despacio, slow. Yeah, slow down. But that's a great tool, and now you know absolutely how to use that tool. Okay, vale. Bien. I want to point out the homework video that this is a great video on numbers that go a little bit higher, okay, into the hundreds. He shows them to you. I am going to review that in a minute. If you did not listen to this video for whatever reason, life got too busy, yeah, whatever, do go back and watch that again. I'll give you the link for it again this week in the email, because he does a little quiz as well. He does a little quiz, okay? Yeah. Vale. Now we're going to take a look at a page that will help you do a little review, and we're going to do a short dictado. Numbers are super important. I would spend normally more time on numbers, except we've only got 2 classes and I have to put a lot of topics in that we can't really miss for a beginner class. And numbers, by the way, also, it's a topic that you have to keep reviewing a little bit all the time. Yeah, it's normal to have to review numbers a little bit, almost constantly, because it's something that requires a lot of practice. So we had practiced a little bit more last week with these double-digit, 2-digit numbers, right? From 20 up. Remember, and this is a cheat sheet. I'll send you this as a cheat sheet because I've got these color-coded in blocks. Yeah, in blocks. And the first kind of brownish block is that 11 through 15 single word block. And then the green block is the addition problem. Yeah, 10 and 6, 10 and 7, 10 and 8. You know what I mean, right? And then everything in yellow is going to be our double digit numbers. So we're going to review these real quickly before and then we'll do a dictado again, a dictado. Okay? So we've got 20. Think of the vein. 20. And everything higher
20.
up, yeah, 20. And everything adds the and word, which is y. Y, it means and. 21, 22, 23, right? Then we get to 30.
30.
30.
30.
And at
Tre-
30, they, honest to goodness, split this into 3 written words. But of course, nobody's going to write these out except in a Spanish class, right? People, you want to be able to hear somebody say a number and to think about only this digital representation, right? So we've got 30, 31, 32, and of course, this wraps around and just reviews or reincorporates or recycles your 1 through 9 numbers. Next, we've got the 40 word, 40.
40.
40, 40. And this enta suffix is like our suffix ty. Why did my camera go out? Like our suffix ty in English. So I'm going to put that representation there. Ooh, if I can get my keyboard to work properly. Aquí. TY in English. Okay. Okay, so that enta ending on all of these words is like our TY for the 2-digit numbers, okay? We've got 40, 50, 50. 50. 50 keeps part of cinco, 5, right? It keeps most of cinco, and then it ends on the cuenta, see? 50. Next, we've got 60.
60.
60. This one is the one that's important that you know it's got an S to start out and an S in the middle, right? And it's built on the word seis, 6, but it's 6T, right? So they dropped the little I in the word seis, yeah? And and they shorten it too, so that it's sesenta, okay? Here's the word that we can get confused with sesenta, and that's because it's only got one letter that's different, and that is the letter T. The S in the middle switches out for a T in the middle. Setenta,
Setenta.
setenta,
Setenta.
setenta. Setenta sounds a lot like siete, seven, right? But again, it drops the I in siete. It drops the letter I, siete. It shortens it to sete, setenta, setenta. And the reason it's hard to hear the difference between these two is that the Spanish T is softer than the English T. The English T gets a puff of air, right? Kitty, kitty. Well, yeah. You know, in English, we would pronounce this setenta. I want you to hear how setenta sounds different than setenta, setenta. It's still the sound T, but it's not a punchy T in Spanish. So that's why it's hard to hear the difference. If you think it's hard for me to tell if you're saying sesenta or setenta, it's because that T is a softer T sound, setenta. Okay? So, sesenta, setenta. Okay? Next, we get an easy one because it looks a lot like ocho, and nobody ever forgets this one, ochenta.
Ochenta.
Ochenta. Then we've got kind of like nueve, but instead of N-U-E, it shortens to N-O. Noventa.
Noventa.
Noventa. Noventa.
Noventa.
Noventa. And then our word cien. Cien. Okay.
Cien.
Cien. And we're going to talk about our hundreds words in a minute. I'm going to give you guys a dictado. So grab a pencil, a marker, a paper, any old scrap of paper. Doesn't matter. Can be your grocery list that you're going to throw away. Can be anything at all. Bum, 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 bum. Because here is our crucial skill. The crucial skill with numbers is that when I say a number, when anybody says a number to you, you can write the digits down, not write the whole words out. Don't need to know that, but write the digits down. Bien? Okay. So let's take a look at that. I'm going to give you 10 numbers, and I'll repeat that each number 3 times. Okay? Because that is necessary at your skill level right now. And just write down the number that you hear. First number is 42. 42. 42. You're going to write down the digital number as I say that. 42. Okay. Second number. 93. 93. 93. 93. Bien, bien. The third number will be 60. 60. 60. 60. Our fourth number will be 38. 38. 38. 38. Bien. Our fifth number is 74. 74. 74. 74. You're halfway through. Felicitaciones. Congratulations. There we go. Sixth letter is 55. 55. 55. Okay. The sixth number we will have is 67. 67. 67. Bien. Our eighth number is 22. 22. 22. Two more to go. Okay. Our ninth number is 89. 89. 89. Okay. El último número, the last number. El último número. 15. 15. 15. Bien, 15. Okay, I'm going to show you what they are so you can correct yourself. Our goal is to always get to 7 out of 10 correct. But if you get 6 out of 10 correct, that's still pretty good. But we want a minimum of 7 out of 10. Hopefully you get 7 out of 10. And if you didn't, bien. Okay.
10.
Magnifico. Now, of course, to practice this more, go back to that original little website that does dictations for you, right? And I will send you the link in the email for that again. And just, like devote maybe 5 minutes a couple times a week and just keep drilling yourself. It does take an incredibly lot, a lot of repetition to get accustomed to that, to get comfortable with that.
Marilyn, do you know of any website that does the opposite? So, you pronounce it, so they're listening to your pronunciation.
Oh, where it will like give you a number and you have to say it?
Yes.
Oh, the only things that probably there are things with the Duolingo
Yeah.
app that will do
Okay.
that, but it will not be like a concentrated here, these are all going to be numbers.
Okay. If you think of anything, let us know.
Yeah, I will, you know what? I will hunt, Siobhan. I will hunt around the internet to see if I can find
Thank you.
anything that does that. That's a
Appreciate
good
it.
question. However, I will tell you, as a survival skill, you are going to be in a situation as a traveler much, much more where you hear a number and you have to know what that number means. Okay. You are in the situation less frequently where you have to
Sure.
say a number. And it depends on everybody's situation. But the reason the listening skill is so crucial is because people tell you prices, people tell you addresses, people tell you how many blocks you've got to go or how many miles it is on
Right.
this bus ride. Yeah. Your your ability to interpret and understand as listening comprehension is far more crucial right now than your ability to be able to produce a long number. Yeah. Being. But not to discount that, yes, does that have value? Absolutely, it has value. Okay. Vale. Bien. We're going to do a quick, we're going to go back to a little thing on numbers, and then we're going to leave numbers for a while because we've got other skills we've got to work. But I just want to make sure that that I kind of review what the hundreds block looks like. I will send you this whole list. Our hundreds block is in kind of morado, purple, see? Y azul and blue. All right. The hundreds block is kind of an easy block to learn, okay? Because it follows a definite pattern except for this aqua number, this number in kind of turquoise or aqua. That's the oddball, and that's one that creates a mental block for people. But every other hundreds number on the list follows a pattern so that you understand what that pattern is, right? Know first that 100 is the even 100 number. 100. But anytime I go even one number up from 100, it turns into a longer form of that word, okay? And that word is ciento, ciento, right? A to gets stuck on the end. So you will hear very often ciento. So you'll hear 120, 120, 150, 150. See, 175, 175. Okay. Bien. So you'll hear that ciento probably more than you hear just the even number of cien. Okay. But the ones up from there are just adding the 1 through 10 or 1 through 9 pattern onto the beginning of the word ciento. Ah. So if 200, first of all, it's a plural of 100, right? So our word ciento gets an S on the end. It becomes cientos. And the 1, 2, 3, 4, 6, 7, 8 numbers come back. And then we stick them on the beginning. So 200 becomes literally the 200s. Yeah, that's the number 200 in Spanish. It is literally 200s, which mathematically is correct. Yeah. So it becomes doscientos. 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 The word for 300 literally puts together three and hundreds. Okay. So it becomes trescientos.
300.
Trescientos. And I separated that just so you can see it's the three and the hundreds. So yeah, whoa, that was a nice pattern. How lovely, how lovely. Here's more of this pattern, and I'm separating this. So remember, yeah, when they're written as a word, it's all one word. But I'm separating it so you can see, right, how it looks. Cuatrocientos.
400.
400. 400s. Yay! Okay, so we're going to skip the next one. We're going to go to the 600s. We're skipping one in the middle for a reason. And literally, we're putting together the word for seis with hundreds. Cientos, seiscientos.
600.
600.
600. There you go. Wow, easy peasy. And again, we're only breaking the pattern a little bit. Instead of siete, siete, we drop that little I again, like we dropped the I with setenta. Same principle. It is setecientos.
700.
700. Why do they drop the I in siete? Probably it's too much IE, IE, IE. Siete, cientos is harder to pronounce. And that's a lot of Spanish is driven by what makes it easier to pronounce. Believe it or not, yeah, it's kind of a guiding principle. Okay, so yay, we have patterns, patterns, patterns. We're fine. Let's see. Two more patterns. 800s. 800.
800.
800. 800. 800. Okay? 800. Okay, vale. And 900, again, like 9, nueve, goes to noventa, N-O, for 90. That N-O pattern from noventa carries over for the 900 number. Again, it's a little easy to pronounce if we have shorter vowel sounds. Novecientos. Novecientos.
900.
900. 900. 900. 900 is a lot like noventa, right? N-O-V, right? Same thing, N-O-V, nove. 900. 900. Okay, those are all patterns that are easy to distinguish patterns. Yay, they're great. But right here, buried in the middle of all these hundreds numbers, is the oddball, which is why it's in a turquoise or aqua or whatever you want to call that color, that blue. This is the oddball. This is the one that I kid you not, every 15-year-old I ever taught was like, I hate this number because it does not, you would think with 300, 400, 600 that you would say 500, but you don't. I can't tell you why, because it's kind of a Latin thing. That Quin, like our word for quintet, a group of five people playing instruments, as is a quintet in English. It's a Latin thing. QUIN like has a representation with five, and for some reason they use that. Why does that break the pattern? I don't know, but it is, and I will split it up. If you think of it as the word for keen, he has a keen intellect. It's that kind, it's the same pronunciation as that keen. So it is quinientos.
500.
Quinientos.
500.
Why is this
500.
hard? It breaks the pattern. We don't use cinco. And that nice pattern of using this with CIENTO, that gets broken too because wait a minute, where'd the C go? It's gone. All right. So instead of cientos, we've got ientos without the letter C. So here's how it sounds again. Quinientos.
500.
500.
Quinientos.
500.
Yeah. And this number comes at you really fast. Quinientos. Quinientos.
500.
500.
Quinientos. Quinientos, 500s. Yeah. Okay. So that's a hard word, but 500 is kind of a common thing, quinientos pesos, 500 pesos really isn't that many pesos. So quinientos is an important word to know. So, okay, there are your hundreds patterns. So next week, I would like you to go back to quitter. I timed out. Go back, refresh that. Go back to this page, set it in the number range to the 1 to 1,000 range, and try a few of those this week there. Okay. Bien. The only other thing I'm going to leave you with is 1,000. 1,000 turns into, if you're a person who uses metric system, a super easy number to remember. And the word for 1,000 is mil. Mil, like milliliters. Yeah. Mil. Mil, right? And mil, when you go to multiples of 1,000, it's just 2,000, 3,000, 4,000, 5,000. There are no oddballs. It's just mil. Always mil. Fácil, easy. Okay? Okay. We're not going to do the other things. Wow. You know what? If you travel to Venezuela, you might need a number that big, but because they've got raging inflation. But you know what? Most people are not going to need the millions numbers at your stage. If you're a finance person and for business you had to use it, it would be worth practicing. But right now, something in the millions is not worth practicing. Millón, okay? But mil, 1,000 is worth practicing. So there you go. We'll do a short dictation next week with hundreds numbers, like we did with the double digit numbers today. Okay. Yeah. And we'll leave that for now. Numbers just require a lot of repetition, a lot of listening, and that's why you've got that little Quizlet page because it will give you that background. It's necessary. Bien. Okay. A ver. We're going to dive into a different topic. And the topic is going to be an abstract topic, but we're going to see some concrete representations. So now we're going to start to talk today and next week about how we say a basic sentence and how we listen to a basic sentence. So there are going to be a lot of things that are going to be uncomfortable because they don't do what your English brain patterns have been doing since you were literally a baby. I kid you not. We listen as babies, infants, to our parents in their first language. And Kyoko would have different patterns listening to her first language than Shaban will have for her first language, or Barbara will have for her first language. Word patterns are different in different languages, and this is where our discomfort is. It's not just learning the new word, it's learning patterns that we need to know because of how different language operates. Okay. So if you feel like, oh, this feels uncomfortable, well, okay, everybody feels that way. So you're in good company. Um, and here's the first topic. Any basic sentence, and by the way, we do speak in fragments. If somebody asks me, hey, when are you paying that bill? I could answer, I'm driving to the office at 2. Or I could just say, at 2. At 2 isn't a sentence, it's a fragment. It's a part of a sentence. So just as we speak in fragments of sentences sometimes, they may too. But so most sentences need a subject, a thing or a person that we're talking about, and it will pair up with an action. A person or a thing and an action. And those two ideas will pair up and make a basic sentence. Okay. So we're going to start to get into that kind of mystery. Here's the first mystery. Any subject, meaning a person, place, or thing that you talk about, is a noun. And nouns in Spanish have gender, which is a pretty funky, weird idea to English speakers. Okay. Uh, English has very a few words that are gender driven, but not many. And the ones we have, we are losing in English. They are going away. They will become antique. I'm going to predict really in the next 10 years. I know we have the word actress, which tells you it's a lady who is in the acting profession. But many, many actresses refer to themselves as actors. And I predict in 10 years, the word actress may be almost obsolete. The word directress is obsolete, right? If a person is a director of a company, we have a word directress, but almost no one uses it. So gender is going bye-bye in English. I mean, the trend. That's what's going to happen. In Spanish, that is never going to happen. And actually, they're trying to make that happen, but it's not going to happen. It's too ingrained. All things, all nouns, people, places, things, have either masculine or feminine gender. Obviously, obviamente, a piece of paper does not have sex. It doesn't. But in language terms, it has gender. It is a masculine word. It just is. All right. Bien. But there are ways for you to decode or to guess, and we're just going to kind of review what those are, because the words that talk about nouns will also have to agree with, match up with these masculine or feminine forms, singular or plural forms. They will have to do that. Okay. Vale. So we can say this as a very general rule. Most nouns that end in the letter O, nouns, not actions, things, nouns. Most nouns that end in O are masculine, but not 100%. There are words that will break that rule, but do know that a lot of them, a high percentage, I'll guesstimate 80%, okay? They're masculine. All right. Whereas a high percent of nouns, people, places, things, that end in the letter A are feminine. High percentage. There, I'm going to say 75% as kind of a guesstimate. Because there are words that kind of break that pattern too. All right. But in in a very general sense, nouns that end in O, masculine, nouns that end in A, feminine. Okay. So we give you some examples. Nouns that end in O, libro, bolígrafo. In Spain and Venezuela, they use bolígrafo to talk about this item that I have in my hand, bolígrafo. And they shorten it to boli. Boli. El boli. All right. It's a masculine thing. It just is. Okay. Refresco, which is like a soda drink. Yeah. Refresco. Helado, which means ice cream. All those end in o, o, o. Last letter is o. They're masculine, right? El libro, el bolígrafo, el refresco, el helado. That's the way it rolls. Okay, bien. Here are some examples of nouns that end in a and are feminine. Papa, which means potato. Ah, it is not papa. Papa is dad. Hey, dad. Hola. Hi, dad. Hola, papa. But papa with a punch at the end is dad. It's not this word papa. Papa is a potato. Papa, la papa. It's feminine. La papa. It's good to associate our the word with that noun. La papa. Learn it as la papa. La papa. Okay? The word for door, la puerta, ends in an a. La puerta. All right? The word for chair, la silla. La silla. The word for music, la musica. Ooh, we borrowed that from Latin. Yeah, la musica. The word for skateboard, la patineta. Right. So high percentage of nouns that end in a are feminine. Yay. Here is a number 3 pattern. And these words, and really I should have changed this. I will change this graphic sometime. It really should be CION or SION. So forgive me for that omission. But Sion. Sion words are feminine words. Boom. Blanket. Sion. Nación, nation. Okay. La nación. The word for song. La canción. The word for season of the year, right? Like fall, winter, spring, summer, those seasons. La estación. Okay. Okay. A lot of these in English, many, but not 100%. Many words like shun, Tion, yeah, nation, yeah, station. Yeah, there's kind of a parallel there. Okay. But these are feminine words. The point is, these are feminine. Sion signals feminine. Also, another ending, like a suffix, a tag on to the end of the noun, which will signal all the time feminine, is dad, D-A-D, or tad, T-A-D. So words like la cantidad, quantity, la verdad, truth. La verdad. La verdad es, the truth is, la verdad es, no tengo dinero. The truth is, I have no money. La verdad es, no tengo dinero. Bien, okay. La libertad. So, tad and dad are feminine. Okay, so those are little rules that can be helpful when you hear a noun, perdón. Okay. A lot of gender nouns just have to be memorized or looked up in a dictionary. Because you'll see on certain websites, all nouns that end in R, L, Z, they'll categorize and say all these belong to one gender or another, but there's always some weird thing that breaks a rule. So just know once you get out of these classifications of o, masculine, and then a, sion, or dad or thad, once you get outside of that, it's kind of iffy. You just have to know, and you'll know from hearing people use it. Yeah. So el mes for month, it just is masculine. And there's nothing about the S at the end of the word mes that tells you masculine. It just is. El papel, paper. El lápiz, pencil, right? El estudiante. Oh, Oh, el estudiante is kind of a special category. El estudiante could be la estudiante. The word for student is the same word for masculine and feminine. We just change the el or the la in front of it, right? Because a student can be a guy, a student can be a gal. So we just know from the word we place with it. El estudiante, a boy student. La estudiante, a female student. That's just all there is there. Okay. Okay. The word for night, noche, ends in a letter E. It just is feminine. You just have to kind of memorize it. La noche, nighttime. La noche. And the word for afternoon time, right? The block of time, hours that we call afternoon is la tarde. La tarde, the afternoon. And it just is feminine. And you just have to kind of memorize these, yeah. But there are some kind of notable exceptions to these rules that are worth mentioning. So I'm going to mention what these are, because these are words that come up a lot, especially as traveling. Yeah, el dia ends in a, but it's not la dia. It's always el dia. And we use the word dia, day, a lot. So that's a good one to memorize. It breaks a rule, right? El agua. El agua, water. And oddly enough, there's more to tell you about that word agua. Actually, it is a feminine word, even though it has el in front of it. But yeah, it's a thing that happens with a noun, starts with an accented, a punched sound. So don't worry about that. It's not vital. Just know it's el agua. El agua, okay? The word for plane, el avión. It's not sion with an S, sion. It's just avión, I-O-N. Avión, plane, el avión, plane. If you're a traveler, that could be important, el avión. The word for el camión. Camión is a truck. It also, in many countries, can mean a bus. Just so you know, it can also mean bus, right? El camión, especially in Mexico, some places in Mexico, they call it el camión, a bus also. El camión, truck, all right? And the word for map, mapa ends in a. You would think it should be feminine, but it isn't. It's el mapa, bien? Okay? So these are just some things that break the rules. This group here, you should kind of commit to memory because we hear these words a lot, all right? Bien. And here are some special endings here. Ista. Ista is an ending that is used both for men and for women. Ista ends in an a. You would think, oh, it's always feminine, but it depends on the sex of that person. Ista, like dentista, your dentist. El dentista is a male dentist. And it still ends in an a, even though it's a man. El dentista, right? La dentista would mean you have a female who is your dentist. Okay. Another example of that would be pianista, pianist, somebody who plays a piano, okay, for a musical band, right? El pianista is a man who plays the piano. La pianista is a woman who plays the piano. So just so that ista swings both ways, we just use an el or a la, depending on if it's a man or a woman we're talking about. And there are some little words that end in ma, and it's specifically ma, M-A. And these things came from Greek a long time ago. And you would think it ends in a, it should be feminine, but there are a number of words, a number of them that come from Greek with this ma ending, which are just going to be masculine. El tema, theme or topic. Yeah. El clima, which means climate, but people always also use it to talk about the weather. ¿Cómo es el clima? What's the weather like? ¿Cómo es el clima? El clima. It's not la clima. El poema. And here's the big one that people get wrong. You hear people in English making jokes. No problemo. which is terrible because there is no word problema. It does not exist. But there does exist the word problema. And it, even though it ends in an a, it's a ma word. And therefore, this is a masculine word, el problema. Somebody asks, hey, what's the problem here? ¿Cuál es el problema? ¿Cuál es el problema aquí? Okay, okay. So, there are rules like the o and a, and there are things that do break rules. So just be aware of that. Okay. Now, the issue of plurals is way easier because to make a noun indicate more than one, you just put an S on the end if it ends in a vowel. You put an ES on the end if it ends in a consonant. And you'll see examples of that in a minute. So this plural thing for nouns is pretty similar to what we do in English. So we're not going to spend a ton of time on it, but you'll hear examples, so it will feel natural. Okay? Okay? Vale. So you've got that file that tells you about plurals. Okay. A ver, momentito. Let's take a look. We're going to look at some masculine and feminine issues real quickly. And we're going to look at just 5 of these because we have to move on. Okay. And actually, I'll send you this so you can kind of quiz yourself. Okay. We're going to take a look at the first, oh, maybe we'll do 6. 6 words, but I'll send you the whole thing so you can see it later. We're going to see how we use it with the word or some. That's called an indefinite article, right? If I say, grab me a pen, I'm not real particular about which pen you grab, right? Hey, get me a pen. You don't know which kind, just any old pen will do, right? That's called an indefinite article. A pen or some pens. Those are our indefinite articles in English. A or some, right? They are indefinite, any old one. But then we have definite articles, right? Which are the words for the, right? Get me the pen. I'm asking for a specific type of pen, right? Those are indefinite and definite articles. Let's look at our indefinite articles. Indefinite articles. Un, masculine. To make it plural, unos. By the way, un looks like the number uno, doesn't it? Because it kind of is. We just chop off the o at the end and it becomes un. Un or unos for plural. Look, we just slap on the, well, there, it's an os. You have to pretend the uno is still there. Una, but feminine. Unas, some, but feminine. And look, we just add on an s, okay? Our definite articles mean the word the. The in English is always the. The in Spanish has to look at gender and number. Gender and number. So masculine, the, el. Masculine plural, the, los. Okay? Nobody in English says those cars, but you do in Spanish. Okay? El or los. Feminine, definite article, la, the. La is the feminine the word. And the plural of la is las. So notice, oh, just an S at the end. Okay, that's not too bad. So all of these words in the red and in the purple have to match up with the noun, or they look at the noun, the thing that we have here. So I'm going to show you what we're doing here. Mes, if I just make it plural, months, it is meses. Ends in a consonant, we just add es to the end. We have to add es to the end. That makes that plural, okay? So some months is unos meses. The months is los meses. Yeah. Unos meses, some months. Los meses, the months. Okay. Let's see if we can do año, year. Año ends in a vowel. So to make it more than 1 year, we just add an S on the end. Okay. And very easy, becomes años, right? Años makes it more than one. Años. And a year is un año. To make it some years, it's unos años. Okay. El año is the year. To make it the years, more than one, it's los años. See what we're doing there? We're just going from singular to plural. But besides looking at singular and plural, we're also looking at that masculine or feminine component. Because the word or some is in this little family working around the word year or around the word month. Every word that describes month or year is like a little moon that circles around the month, and it's got to play nice with that noun. It's got to be in the same kind of form. That's what Spanish does. Okay? Bien. Let's take the word padre, dad. Padre. Let's make it more than one dad. That is padres. Padre ends in a vowel. We just slap on an S. Padres. Okay, that's not too challenging. Father, fathers. Yeah, kind of sounds like English. Okay, great. Now, if we say un padre, a dad, let's make it a few dads, some dads. It's unos padres, yeah? Let's make this the fathers. Los padres. And by the way, los padres can also possibly be referring to both mom and dad together as a couple. In Spanish, they don't need to say mom and dad. They can just say los padres. And that means mom and dad both together. It's just something they do when you're talking in a family setting. Okay? In a family setting. Let's take a look at the word animal. Animal, it means what you think it sounds like. Animal means animal.
Animal.
Ends does not end in a vowel, ends in an L. So instead of adding on S, we have to add
ES.
ES. Yeah, we have to add ES. Animales. That's all we do. Wow. Muy fácil. Easy, easy, easy. So, an animal, un animal, un animal. Let's make it some animals. Look at the pattern above it, right in the same column. ¿Cómo se dice some?
OS.
Unos
Unos
animales.
animales. Every word that talks about animales has to go into a masculine form and a more than one, a plural form. Okay. Instead of saying el animal, the animal, we're going to make it the animals.
Los
Los
animales.
Animal.
animales. Bien, vale. Okay. Hermano. Hermano, ¿qué es hermano?
Brother.
Brother. Okay. We're going to make it brothers. We're going to make it more than one brother, which, it ends in an O. So super easy. Instead of just O, it becomes OS. Hermanos. Brothers. A brother. Un hermano. Some brothers.
Unos hermanos.
Unos hermanos. Unos hermanos. The brother, el hermano, but the brothers,
Los
Los.
hermanos.
los hermanos. And in family groups like padres, meaning which could be both mom and dad, hermanos can mean brothers and sisters. We've got a special word in English, siblings, which doesn't tell if they are girls or boys in your family group, right? Sibling. But los hermanos is siblings. It can mean brothers and sisters mixed girls and boys group. Okay. Or it can mean just all brothers. Los hermanos, los hermanos. We'll do one more, which is a family word because you've had a lot of family words. Hija is daughter. Hija. How do I make it daughters, more than one daughter? It becomes, oh, it ends in an A. We just slap on an S. So it becomes hijas.
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 A daughter,
Unos.
una hija. Some daughters, meaning they've got more than one.
Unos.
Unas
Unas hijas.
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 Unas hijas. Some daughters.
Los.
The daughters. La hija, the daughter. La hija.
Las.
Las.
Las hijas. Las hijas. Bien? Okay. I'm going to send you that file so you can see what we did. See if you can do like, oh, we've only got a few more. See if you can do the rest of those. And we'll check that next week, right? And we kept that a lot with easy words. Okay.
Marilyn,
Bien?
could you
Sí.
remove the la or un, and so we have to figure out if it's masculine or feminine to make it a little bit harder?
Oh, remove this word entirely? Sure, I can. Sí, sí se puede. Yes, I can.
Gracias.
And I will do it. Okay. Gracias. Bien. Okay. So you can see how this starts to work. You had, did all of you watch the video on these I'm sorry, not numbers, colors. Yeah.
Yes.
So now we're going to add on one extra layer for this idea of the noun. All the words that talk about the noun, that are around the noun, have to match up and be in the same form of masculine or feminine, singular and plural. Okay. Now, what I'm going to hope you noticed from the video, because it's very clever on a visual level, is that it grouped things. Yeah. Colors are simply a vehicle, a manner of presentation for rules that will apply to all descriptions of all kinds. Descriptive words, which we call adjectives, will all follow the same rules that the color words followed in that video. Aha. Okay. And again, okay. Because the colors describe a thing, or I guess it could be a person, colors will have to look at the noun they're talking about to go into the right form. And this is very challenging for English speakers because English does not do that at all. Red car, red pen, red hair. It's always red. Yeah. But in Spanish, that word red will have to look at the noun it's talking about and go into the right form. Okay. So adjectives that end in an o for a base word, like rojo, like rosado, like morado, purple, like negro, black, like blanco, white. Okay. If it ends in an o, if the adjective, the descriptive word ends in an o, it will need to go into a corresponding feminine form if it's talking about a feminine thing. So rojo could be the feminine form, roja. Yeah. Rosado could be the feminine word, rosada, and they've got an asterisk here because some countries just use rosa all the time. So kind of ignore that word for now. Morado, purple, could need to be in a feminine form, morada. See? La blusa morada would mean a purple blouse. La blusa, blouse, morada. Okay. Negro, negra. Blancos, blanca. Bien? Blanco, blanca. So, o flipping out into a for feminine. Oh, that kind of makes sense if you look at the gender rule we looked at beforehand. And to make those plural, just slap on an S. Yeah. Okay. So let's take rojo as an example. Rojo, rojo, red. If I say the red cars, it literally needs to become a plural word for the, a plural word for cars, a plural word for red. Los carros rojos. Yeah. But if I'm talking about a pen, and I use the word pluma, many countries use the word pluma. Pluma ends in an a, it's a feminine word, pluma, right? Some countries call this bolígrafo. Some countries call this pluma. We're going to use pluma. Pluma is feminine. So, la pluma negra, black pen, la pluma negra. If I have a handful of these, it's las plumas negras. Las plumas negras. Las plumas negras. Literally, it's like they're saying those pens blacks. English doesn't do that. Ah, shoot. I got to learn a different pattern. Las plumas negras. Okay? So, all of those color words that ended in o go flip into an ending of o to a for feminine and just slap on an s for plural. Well, that's not too bad so far. So far, okay. But what if the descriptive word, the adjective word, does not end in an o? Well, what the heck do I do?
It's masculine.
It's masculine, azul, but you know what? Azul we use the same word to say the feminine form. Yay! So essentially, I don't do anything to that, except maybe I make it plural. So the way I make it plural is
Yes.
yes, azules, right? So, see, la casa azul, the blue house, la casa azul, la pluma azul, see? Uh, uh, el papel azul, blue paper, right? Okay. Los carros azules, the blue cars. Okay, that's what it does. And if you didn't notice that clever thing that video did, go back and watch it again. Because when you see it visually, it's trying to show you a visual pattern. Because many of us are visual learners. We see something in a pattern and our brain accepts it a little bit easier. So that's for your visual learners here. So azul does not end in o, so it's the same form for masculine, feminine. It just becomes plural in this case, and yes. Here's the word for green. Verde, verde, green, verde. Okay. Verde is green, and because it doesn't end in the word o, it uses verde for masculine. It still uses verde for feminine. Yay! So make it plural. Uh-oh, it's got a vowel at the end. Just slap on an S. Verdes. See? Verdes. So all the colors, and therefore really all adjectives that don't end in O, don't end in A, for most of them, for like 90% of them, 85% of them. If the last letter of an adjective is not o or a, just keep the same word for masculine or feminine, make it plural, whether it's putting on an s or an es. Yeah, that makes it plural. Okay. The word for brown, marron. Marron is same for
Marron.
feminine or masculine. Marrones is plural. Marrones. Marrones.
Marrones.
Marrones. This word is hard to pronounce. Anaranjado. Anaranjado. The word for orange, like the actual fruit, is naranja. So it takes that word naranja, the orange that you eat, and it uses that as the base word. Anaranjado, right? That will give feminine form. Anaranjada, because it's got the O at the end, right? Bien. Amarillo ends in an O. So it becomes a feminine word. Amarilla, right? Make it plural. Amarillos. Amarillas. Bien. Vale. Rojo we've done. Let's take a look at gris. Gris does not end in O. So gris,
Grises.
gray, is the same for masculine, same for feminine. But when I make it plural, I need to add not an S because it would be a double S. It's an ES. Grises. Grises. Yeah? Grises. And if you think of something being greasy, it's easy to associate greasy with gray color. Okay. Bien. So I'm going to give you a few examples, but we're going to move on in a little bit just to give you a feel for this, a feel for it. Okay. I'll give you another video this week to hear more examples, and we'll do more examples next week too. But here are some examples of how it will always look at the thing, the noun we're talking about, for all the words talking about that noun to go in the right form. La bandera de Francia. Bandera is a flag and a flagpole, a flag. La bandera de Francia. And if I am describing the word flag, bandera, that's what kind of word, masculine or feminine?
Feminine.
Feminine. So everything that talks about bandera has to go into a feminine form. Okay. And it's going to ask you for 3 colors in the French flag.
Roja y blanca.
Bien. So azul says the same, doesn't it? La bandera de Francia es azul, blanca,
Y roja.
y roja. Bien. Uh-oh, German flag. That one could be a challenge. You might not know which colors are in the German flag. I will tell you. They are black, yellow, and red. Black, yellow, and red. And we're still looking at bandera. La bandera de Alemania, Germany.
Es negra,
negra,
amarilla,
amarilla,
roja.
y roja. Okay. Now we're going to talk about the U.S. flag. La bandera de Estados Unidos. La bandera de Estados Unidos. But we're not describing United States. We're describing flag. Yeah. So the key word is bandera, bandera. And, la bandera de Estados Unidos has, tiene estrellas. Estrellas are stars. What are we really
Blancas?
describing? Stars. Tiene
Blancas.
estrellas
Blancas?
blancas. Tiene estrellas blancas. It has white stars. Tiene estrellas blancas. The flag of the United States has stars, whites. Stars, whites. If you think in that very weird pattern of saying it wrong in English, you will start to get used to the pattern in Spanish. Stars, whites. And notice they don't say white stars. They say stars, whites. That's another tough one. Word order. Adjectives, if they are truly descriptive, will generally follow the nouns. That's not what English does. Okay, let's do 2 more easy examples. Los tomates son, los tomates son, los tomates son.
Son rojas.
Son, and los tells you it's masculine, right? Los tomates son
Rojos.
rojos, rojos, rojos. What if the tomatoes are green?
Verdes.
Verdes.
Verdes, with an S at the end. Verdes. Los tomates son verdes. Really, they would say están verdes because they're not always green. Yeah, green there is a changing form, right? Okay, but los tomates son rojos. Los tomates son rojos, generalmente, generally. ¿Sí? Bien. Homer Simpson. Homer Simpson is kind of a funny skin color. Homer Simpson es
Amarillo.
amarillo. Amarillo. Amarillo. Okay? Bien. So we're going to leave it at that. So get used to that. You're going to need a lot of examples. I'm going to send you a video so that you hear examples of adjectives with nouns, another video, not the same one you had with colors. Okay? All adjectives, all descriptive words will use these kinds of patterns in Spanish, okay? And that takes a while to get used to. So you'll get another video to show you some of that. Bien. We got to move on. Uy, ay. Not much time. Okay. A ver. I can only do a short introduction of verbs. We're going to introduce this next verb, though. This is a very, very survival verb. Ir, to go. And I need to reverse my ir, to go. Like ser, like estar, it is very, very irregular. It will go into a form for yo and tú. So verb forms are not the same thing as those adjective forms that you saw. Adjectives look at a noun, right? Verbs take on a form because they're talking about who's doing something and technically when they're doing it. If they're doing it now, if they did it yesterday, that kind of thing. That's the job of verbs, okay? So verbs are driven by when the action is happening, meaning the tense, and we're all only looking at the right now, presente, present right now. And verbs look at who's doing the action. Here are the forms for ir. All the forms of ir begin with the letter V. Why? I cannot tell you, but they do. They just do. So the funny little mnemonic is you go in a van. You go in a van. Beep, beep, in a van. V. That helps you remember that all the conjugations, all the forms of ir start with be chica, be chica. Remember that be chica will sound like a B in English. Yeah, it won't sound like a V with your teeth here. Be, be, be. Okay, so here are the forms of ir. Voy, to say I'm going, it's voy. Voy. You will almost never hear somebody pair up yo with voy. You may, but very seldom. It'll usually only be voy.
Boy.
Automatically tells you it's yo doing the action. Voy.
Boy.
Voy. Okay, voy. The form for tú also begins with the V. See? Vas,
Bus.
vas,
Bus.
vas, vas. Okay?
Bus.
Él, he, ella, she, or the formal you, usted, all three of those share the same kind of verb form all the time, always. Okay? That category of él, ella, or usted always talks about one person. It always means I'm not in the group. I have nothing to do with it. It's one person. Yeah. And that is called third person singular. And the form for that is ba, ba,
Ba.
ba, ba.
Ba.
It's bus without the S at the end. S at the end means tú, you, buddy. Tú, right? Bus. But talking about one person, ba, ba, ba. Mi padre va, my dad's going. Mi hermano va, my brother, yeah. Mi hermano va, my brother is going. Mi amiga va, my friend is going. Anybody who's a one person. Okay. The way we make that more than one person is ellos, they, or ellas, all gals, they, or ustedes, you guys. And the form it takes ba and it slaps an N on the end, bun.
Bun.
Ban.
Ban.
Bun.
Here's the van you drive. Beep, beep. Yeah, you go in a van. Beep, beep. Okay. Ban. Ban. So
Bun.
so far we've got boy,
Boy.
bus,
Bus.
ba,
Ba.
and bun.
Ban.
And the way we make it a we, meaning I have people with me. I'm in the group, but I have more than one person with me. It's not just me by myself. We go. Vamos.
Vamos.
Vamos. A lot of
Vamos.
us, because of where we live, hear this word a lot. Vamos. Let's go. Vamos.
Yeah, I thought it was
Vamos.
always a V.
Yeah, vamos, vamos, vamos. Okay, but they all start with the B chica, la letra B chica. They all start with that letter V. So the only thing for you to know about these forms, voy, vas, va, vamos, van, and this is the form they only use in Spain, so no place in Latin America, vais, but you're not going to hear it much, okay? Van, there's our last one. The important thing to know is that you need a little extra word. When you say, I'm going to a place, you actually need the literal word to. And the literal word to is the little word all by itself. Okay? So, voy a casa. I'm going home.
Voy a casa.
Yeah. ¿A dónde vas? Literally, to where are you going? That word donde is where, but a dónde is to where. We don't say in English, to where are you going? But you do in Spanish. ¿A dónde vas? ¿A dónde vas? Where are you going?
¿Dónde
Va
vas?
¿Va usted a un restaurante? Are you going to a restaurant? ¿Va usted a un restaurante?
Restaurante.
Ah. The moves in front of that word adonde, but always indicates motion or movement to a place. That little word has a meaning, okay? Meaning? Many times it means that. Has other uses in Spanish too, but so if I'm saying I'm going to a place, we need that little word there, okay? And then you name the place. A casa, a un restaurante, all of those things, okay? Sometimes, just so you know, you may see a funny little combination of al. So I'm going to show you a couple examples of that. Vamos a la farmacia. We're going to the pharmacy, like the drugstore, yeah? Vamos a la farmacia, a la farmacia, a la farmacia. But if I want to say a él, something special happens. In Spanish, a and él are going to squish together and they become the word al. So you will never hear a él, a él. It's too cumbersome speaking wise. Al, al. A la stays separate, but a él becomes al. So if you want to say, are you going to the subway? Van ustedes al metro, al metro, al metro, al. Van ustedes al metro? You guys going to the subway station? Van ustedes al metro, al. Okay. A and el is the only combination that squishes together. All the rest of them stay separate. A la, a las, a los, right? Another example of al would be like this. Todos van al museo. They are all going to the museum. To the is a el museo, but we cannot say a el. It becomes al. Okay? Bien?
Bien.
Okay, bien. So here's another thing to know about the verb or I'm sorry, the verb ir. The verb ir can say you're going to a place. Ir can also say you're going to do something. So it can throw an activity into the near future. Oh, so we're moving our time meaning here, right? But we still need to use, we still need to use, I was on the wrong slide, sorry about that. We still need to use this little word when we do that, okay? So to indicate the future, we can use this verb, ir. Okay, we still need to include that little word a, even though we're not talking about a physical place. All right, so here's how that works. I'm going to eat. The word for to eat is comer. So it becomes voy a comer. Voy a comer. I'm going to eat. We can use going instead of moving your body into a different location to say that you intend to do something in the future, right? Voy a comer. If we are going to listen to some kind of music, it's vamos a escuchar. Vamos a escuchar. ¿Sí? Vamos a escuchar. They're going to take a taxi. Ellos van a tomar un taxi. They're not in a taxi cab right now, but they're going to do that. Like in the next 5 minutes, whenever they see one and they hail it down on the street, yeah? Ellos van a tomar un taxi. Van a tomar un taxi. Okay? My friend is going to pay. We're not paying right now. Oh, we're eating our dinner, but my friend is going to pay. Mi amigo va a pagar. Mi amigo va a pagar. Mi amigo va a pagar. So there are two reasons to use the verb ir. One is literally going to a location, and the other is to indicate that something is going to happen really, really soon. Okay? And we do this in English too. I'm going to drive to the post office. I'm going to drive. Yeah? It's the same structure. You're just learning that are the verb structures that you need to use. So ir has a double purpose. Talk about going to a place, talk about going to do a certain activity. It isn't happening now, but it will soon. Bien? Good? Bien. Okay.
Bien.
So I'm going to do the quickest and quick down, dirtiest, quickest, fastest introduction ever. I'm going to have you read a little bit about this. We have had a lot of, we have had a few, not a lot, a few verbs we have looked at, and those verbs so far have been ser, estar, that little word hay, there are. Oh, we had a little bit with tener, but you will need more time to get used to tener. And now we've had ir. Okay, all of those are verbs, and all of those are irregular verbs. They're odd. We call them irregular because they do not follow a pattern. Okay? But in Spanish, there are many, many, many verbs that do follow patterns. And so we're going to learn about what those are about. And this is a huge, mind-blowing chunk, regular verbs, but they will follow a pattern. The thing that you should know, I'm going to give you I think it'll be 2 videos that will talk about this. Just like estoy, estás, está, soy, eres, es, voy, vas, va, just like those conjugate, follow a form for who is doing the action, all verbs will do that. So whereas English will say, I speak, you speak, they speak, she speaks. All we have in English is speak and speaks. But Spanish will have a different form for yo, a different form for tú, a different form for one person, él or ella or usted, a different form for nosotros, we, a different form for they, ellos, ellas, or ustedes. They all follow in that same pattern. So this is something that speak and speaks, is going to morph into a bunch of different forms. Okay, so we're going to start to dip our toes into what does it mean to conjugate, that is, use the right form of the verb, because the verb in Spanish does all the talking. The verb tells you who's doing an action, when they're doing it, and of course, what's the action. Okay, we split verbs in Spanish. We start verbs before we split them. Verbs in English that are in their base form are called infinitives. Infinitive in number talk means infinite, going out forever, right? No end to it. But infinitives in grammar speak means the base form of the verb. And the base form of all verbs in English is the word to. So here are infinitives in English: to walk, to talk, to look, to travel, to to listen to buy, to get to, or to arrive, to use, to dance, to pay. Ah, to, right? But nobody says, I to pay. I to pay this bill, right? I pay this bill, but then she pays this bill. Okay, right? Okay, so that's what English does. Here's what Spanish does. They have a corresponding form called an infinitive, but they split it out into three families. There are only three families or three types of infinitives in Spanish, and they are infinitives, meaning action words that end in AR, or infinitives, action words that end in ER, or infinitive action words that end in IR. Each one of those three categories will get a predictable pattern of endings to change those verbs into. Well, your mind is probably exploding right now. Don't explode too much. We'll step you through that. We're going to give you a little video that will talk to you about how that happens. And actually, I'm going to give you a quick form of how that happens with hablar. This is the classic example they show for AR verbs, and hablar ends in AR. Here's what happens. The yo ending always is o. Hablo. The nosotros forms is always with amos. Because it's an AR verb, it's going to be an amos. Hablamos. Okay? The tú form always gets an S at the end. Hablas. The él or ella or usted form is always going to be habla with an a at the end. This a at the end is not a feminine thing. Yeah, feminine words like la, pluma, pen. No, no, no. Verbs don't have masculine, feminine like nouns. Nouns get masculine, feminine. Verbs, that a at the end of habla is not there to say feminine word. That a is there to say, oh, it comes from an AR type verb. Okay. So this a does not mean feminine. Yeah. Habla. It means she's speaking, or he's speaking, or the polite you, usted, is speaking. And then hablan. They are speaking. Okay. A bunch of people. I'm not in the group. It's a bunch of people separate from me. Hablan. Hablo, hablas, habla, hablamos, hablan. Aha. That is what's going to happen with AR verbs. There will be a slightly different pattern with ER and IR verbs, those other two types of infinitives. They will look somewhat like what you see with hablar. They will look somewhat like that with a few vowel changes. Okay? Bien? That's all I'm going to leave you with for now. I want you to take a look at what just some infinitives are with both AR and IR verbs. You're going to do that via some videos, and we're going to use that for our last class. ¿Está bien? We're good?
Sí.
Está bien.
¿Sí? Perfecto, perfecto. Bueno, gracias. Una clase más, una clase más. One more class. Here we go. And we're going to dip our toe into the verb thing. And that verb thing, by the way, takes a long time to get used to. So we're going to check that out extensively next week. ¿Sí? ¿Bien?
Bien.
Bien.
Bueno, gracias.
Hasta luego.
Hasta
Nos
luego.
vemos.
Sí, sí, nos vemos. Y cuídense mucho. Take care.